Tailgating in the Globe is called the South's biggest cocktail party. It's especially true when Alabama comes to town.
But the rules about student drinking are changing. Coming up, Annie Sharp will let you know how.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Sarah Kate Caliguire.
And I'm Avery Sadler.
With the Alabama game this Saturday, students need to make sure they are aware of the changes made to the two-strike policy.
NewsWatch reporter Annie Sharp spoke with the Director of Conflict Resolution and Student Conduct to find out the details on how this might affect students' decisions in the future. Annie?
Thanks, guys. I spoke with Tracy Murray to help understand the specific changes made to the UM alcohol and other drug sanction policy. With the Alabama game happening this weekend, Murray is expecting to see many violations of the policy. The two-strike policy is in place to force students to take responsibility for their actions.
I don't think it's any surprise that we have a lot of alcohol violations. One of the things that may be surprising to students is we don't have a lot of second offenses.
The changes made to the policy allow the students a second chance and give them more options to learn about why these rules are in place.
So the real difference is we're still planning to do it in most circumstances, the community service hours, the alcohol and drug assessment in class, and instead of the probation, that if there is a second offense, whether it's a week later, a year later, 2 years later, we're having a conversation with the student about that offense and how that offense related to the first offense.
Murray said that having conversations with the students will help authorities better assess each case individually.
We no longer have a mandatory suspension related to a second offense, and so what we wanted to do was create an opportunity for people to meet with our office and to talk with our staff and to be able to figure out what was the best course of action to help them learn from their mistakes or help them get treatment or give them the best opportunity to be successful here.
Kickoff is not until 6 this Saturday, but it is no surprise that Ole Miss is going to start the party in the Grove hours before. Murray said that though the new policy may seem less strict, it is still important for students to be aware of it before hitting the Grove this weekend. Sarah Kate, back to you.
Thanks, Annie. The university is updating their protocol for assisting with arrests on campus. University police assisted Mississippi Alcoholic Beverage Control in arresting a student on campus. The arrest was made between classes in Bishop Hall on Tuesday afternoon, and the 18-year-old student had an arrest warrant out for him by ABC. As classes let out, officers handcuffed him and escorted him to the squad car outside. The arrest drew a lot of attention from onlookers who began to gather around. A UPD lieutenant explained that moving forward, UPD plans to assist arrests in a less disruptive and public way, and the protocol set in place is different than the way officers handled the recent situation. SEC Nation started setting up its production in the Grove around 8 this morning. NewsWatch reporter Miranda Crosby takes us behind the scenes to show us why it might be worth your while to stop on by this Saturday.
Workers are setting up what will be the weekend home of some well-known sports celebrities, and Bobby Lipstra oversees it all.
We have a good cast with the SEC Nation show. It's Paul Feinbaum, Laura Rutledge, Tim Tebow, Marcus Spears, and Lauren Sizzler.
SEC Nation will be on live TV starting tomorrow throughout the day on Saturday, so if you're in the Grove on either days, be sure to stop by.
We will make TV on Friday as well as Saturday. The main SEC Nation show is live 9 to 11 here, and that's on the main stage on Saturday morning. But the Paul Feinbaum radio show, which is Friday afternoon from 3 to 7 live, will be on the side set over here.
With less than just 24 hours to finish setting up, SEC Nation will be live here in the Grove both Friday and Saturday. Miranda Crosby, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
The production team says there are no other fans like those who find in the Grove, and they are excited to be back at Ole Miss.
The NCAA has banned the Ole Miss football team from participating in the postseason until 2019. The bowl ban is affecting the fan base, recruiting, and even excitement regarding the current season. NewsWatch reporter Jack Orloff has more.
It's no secret that the Ole Miss football team was placed on a 2-year bowl ban for NCAA violations. SuperTalk Mississippi beat reporter Brian Rippey says he has seen a significant decline in fan interest.
People aren't as interested. People aren't clicking as much, I guess, to put it simply. I mean, I guess the rise in the fall was so steep and the decline happened so fast that it's only natural that people aren't interested in when you don't really have an incentive at the end of the year to play for. Obviously, the season's going to lose some of its luster.
Rippey believes the recruiting process plays a major role in gaining fan excitement.
I think you're going to have to get people excited about recruiting again. That was one of the things Hugh Freeze did, is he turned National Signing Day kind of into a holiday. People got super excited about that, and obviously there's not near that amount of excitement now. So I think that's where it starts. I think they're going to have to start recruiting at a higher level for people to be interested.
Although the bowl ban has affected recruiting and the fan base, many believe that the Oxford community will stand by the team no matter what.
I still think that the Oxford community is rallying behind Ole Miss. It might have hurt our fan base nationally, but I don't think it's really hurt too much locally, but I would say nationally it probably has had an impact, like on our away games. We probably don't have as many fans traveling.
Jack Orloff, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Despite the current bowl ban, the Rebels will be eligible to compete in postseason games starting next year. And coming up sports, we'll have a more in-depth look at one football player. Who says you have to be a 200-pound muscle man to be an athlete? Today, Ole Miss announced it's about to get competitive in the world of esports. NewsWatch reporter Madison Amon tells us more.
Student Craig Pennison is president of the Ole Miss esports organization. Today, he put down his controller and joined the provost in announcing that gaming is going to another level at the university.
We want to be the first that sort of really not only do it here, but also does it the best, to show that we can compete at the highest level of all esports across the entire country.
Esports at Ole Miss has been around for about 18 months. Provost Noel Wilkins says the university is supporting a series of competitions between Rebel gamers and other college teams. He says video games have more value than people might think.
And the real beneficiaries are our students. This will help them to develop and refine soft skills of leadership, teamwork, communication, and task environments. Things that will help them throughout their careers.
The Ole Miss esports organization is planning on hosting their first competition here at the Pavilion against Mississippi State in the Esports Egg Bowl. The event will be held on October 13th and will be open to the public. Madison Amon, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
The Lafayette County Board of Supervisors approved the 2019 fiscal year budget on Tuesday. This budget includes a $100 raise for all full-time employees, a 50-cent raise an hour for part-time employees, and no raise in taxes. The over $30 million budget has over $9 million set aside for Lafayette County schools. Almost 50% of the budget comes from ad valorem taxes, almost 30% comes from fines, 9% comes from charges, and 8% comes from the state. There were no comments from the board members before the unanimous vote was made to approve the budget. A private prison in Mississippi will soon be housing inmates from Vermont. On Sunday, the Vermont Digger reported that the state's Department of Corrections is signing off on a contract this week with Core Civic Private Prisons operator to transfer over 200 inmates. In October, these inmates will go to Tallahatchie County Correctional Facility in Tutwiler. About 500 ICE detainees are already at the Tallahatchie facility. According to Core Civic, the contract lasts 2 years with unlimited 2-year options for extensions.
Mississippi now has the second highest obesity rate in the country, behind West Virginia. Mississippi is one of 7 states where adult obesity rates are more than 35% of the population, where West Virginia ranks highest with 38%. Since the year 2000, Mississippi's obesity rate has increased from 24 to 37%. A report from America's Health and Robert Wood Johnson Foundation found that 45% were black adults and 32% were white adults. Although the state has lost its rank, it has increased in the percentage of obese population.
Hurricane Florence is threatening millions of Americans on the East Coast, and FEMA warns that this is a very dangerous storm. After it makes landfall, it's expected to slow down significantly and bring heavy amounts of rainfall.
Please hear my message. We cannot underestimate this storm.
Hurricane Florence is making its final approach to the Carolinas as the region braces for what is expected to be a catastrophic storm.
Rain kind of deteriorates your foundation and wash your house away.
Residents in Florence's path know what's coming, and many are heeding warnings from officials who want them to take precaution.
We've asked you to leave. If you don't, then please go shelter in place and stay safe.
Those who have found refuge at local shelters say they're prepared for the long haul.
As long as it takes, because we go back home and then it's very bad, then I'm going to say I wish I would have stayed here.
Wind speeds have decreased over the past several hours, but FEMA warns that several other dangers still remain.
Please do not let your guard down. The storm surge forecast associated with this storm has not changed. It has remained the same.
That storm surge, along with the expected slow-moving speed of Florence once it makes landfall, will lead to heavy wind and rain over the next several days.
It's going to be very hard for this water to evacuate, so you're going to see a tremendous amount of inland flooding.
North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper says his state could feel the brunt of it.
We're on the wrong side of this thing. This storm will bring destruction to North Carolina.
And in South Carolina, similar warnings are coming from officials who say there is little they can do to help once the storm arrives. With the oncoming stress of Hurricane Florence fast approaching, politicians are still arguing over the death toll of Hurricane Maria.
And the president has expressed his frustrations on social media. We will have that more when we return. But first, Gavin Norton has your first look at the current conditions.
I am Gavin Norton, and this is your first look at the upcoming weather. We can see we're going to have low chances of rain throughout the next coming days, but with that does come high humidity, so be sure and settle in for a hot and sunny weekend. If we go in and take a look at the radar scan, what we can see here is that the Oxford area is fairly unaffected by this mess happening over here. That just means no rain. That does not mean no weather. More of that coming up on Stormwatch.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin? Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfies.
Nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said she won't be taking you in as a client.
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
This morning, President Trump tweeted about the recent change to Puerto Rico's official death toll for Hurricane Maria. In 2 tweets, the president wrote, 3,000 people did not die in the 2 hurricanes that hit Puerto Rico. When I left the island after the storm had hit, they had anywhere from 6 to 18 deaths. This was done by the Democrats in order to make me look as bad as possible when I was successfully raising billions of dollars to help rebuild Puerto Rico. Last month, Puerto Rico's government raised its official Hurricane Maria death toll from 64 to 2,975. The change was based on new research conducted by George Washington University. And many in Washington and Puerto Rico are reacting to the president's tweets this morning. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan says the president's claim has no truth to it.
I'll just say what I just said, which is there is no reason to dispute these numbers, and it's a function of this was a devastating storm that hit an isolated island, and that's really no one's fault. That is just what happened.
San Juan's Mayor Carmen Cruz tweeted a response to the president saying, in part, Mr. Trump, you can try and bully us with your tweets, but we know our lives matter. You will never take away our self-respect. Shame on you. Cruz has been an outspoken critic of the president regarding the death toll in Puerto Rico.
Family and friends came together today to honor the man shot and killed by a Dallas police officer in his own apartment. Hundreds of people attended the funeral of Botham Jean at Greenville Avenue Church of Christ in Richardson, Texas. Police say off-duty officer Amber Geiger mistook Jean's apartment for her own. She has been charged with manslaughter in the 26-year-old's death. She is out on bond. The family plans to hold another ceremony when his body is returned home. 60 Minutes executive producer Jeff Fager has sexual misconduct claims against him. Many people are confronting him about the situation. He has been fired from 60 Minutes and is now dealing with outside voices. The victim and CBS reporter Jerica Duncan is thankful for people who have contacted her with support after Fager tweeted to Duncan. He told her to be careful about bringing claims against him and that she should be worried about her job. Bill Owens, the executive editor for CBS, will now be taking over for Fager while 60 Minutes searches for a new executive producer.
Even though the sun wasn't too bright today, the summer heat is still staying strong.
I'm definitely ready to see some fall weather, and Gavin Norton will let us know if the warmth is here to stay in his extended forecast next on Stormwatch.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk. No matter what you're going through, I just want you to know I'm here. I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Did you put a new dent in that?
This one? No.
Were you texting and driving again? Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Thank you for tuning in to Stormwatch. I'm Gavin Norton, and the current temperature outside is sitting at 87 degrees. There are some clouds outside, and the chance of rain is only at 15% with this warm weather. However, if we take a different look at the weather, we can see that this won't necessarily last for too long. Look over in the Mississippi, the Oxford region, we see remnants of what is going on over in the Carolinas. Of course, Hurricane Florence causing some disruption. Over here, though, all we're going to get is some warm steam as a result. A more local look at the weather, we see Oxford sitting over at 88 degrees. And if we move to the east, we get a little bit warmer, but still the temperature locally staying comfortable around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. If we take a look at tomorrow's weather, though, not much change, although we do see Tupelo heating up, going all the way to 93 degrees. Tonight, things will cool off a little bit, and we have a 20% chance of rain, but even still, the lowest temperature that we're going to reach with these clouds is 70 degrees. As we look over to the next coming days, especially tomorrow, the heat will already start to kick in. The high for tomorrow is registered at 89 degrees Fahrenheit with some scattered thunderstorms, though the chance of rain is only 35%. The chance of rain we will see, however, will drop over the next coming days if we take a different look. If we take a look over here at our 5-day forecast, we can see that the highs are going to reach the low 90s and the high 80s with chance of rain almost non-existent, taking us through a nice warm week all the way to Wednesday. That's back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Gavin. While the Ole Miss men's basketball season has not started yet, see what head coach Kermit Davis is doing to help improve the team for years to come.
And the women's soccer team is kicking off their SEC play against Alabama. See what they have to do to secure a victory next.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Rebel fans, what's cooking? Jason Price here, bringing you a loaded Thursday edition of Sports Watch. The Ole Miss soccer team is headed to Tuscaloosa, Alabama tonight for their SEC opener against the Crimson Tide. The Lady Rebels are rolling right now with a 6-2 record, and those two losses were both by 1 goal. The team is coming off a 1-1 weekend as they lost to UConn on Saturday, but beat FAU on Sunday thanks to a game winner from team captain Gabby Little. Rebel forward CeCe Kaiser is a scoring machine as she tied the school record for career goals on Sunday and leads the nation in career goals and goals this season. The Ole Miss basketball team might have a star next season as 4-star power forward DJ Jeffries ranks the Rebels in his top 3 choices. The Olive Branch native is the #1 player in the state and ranked 43rd in the nation. Jeffries' other top choices include Mississippi State and Memphis, who has an advantage as new head coach Penny Hardaway coached Jeffries in AAU. Jeffries is just an all-around hooper coming in at 6'7", 200 pounds. He averaged almost 21 points a game as a junior and led his team to a 5A state title. Needless to say, this would be a huge pickup for Kermit Davis. The Ole Miss football team's troubles have sent some recruits packing, but Alec Kaiser Andre introduces us to one Mississippi player who's sticking with his home state.
Armani Linton was a top prospect out of his Walnut, Mississippi high school, and says what he learned there got him to Ole Miss.
It prepared me tremendously, honestly, just because of, I feel like, Mississippi football is really good. Overall, it's just mentally, because, this game is more mental than it is physical.
He says bowl bans and other problems won't keep him from playing for his home state against Bama this weekend.
Honestly, I'm just expecting to do my job because this is one of those games where if everybody does their jobs, then we can end up on a good note. Because if you try and do more than what you're supposed to, then you're going to make mistakes and they're going to capitalize on them.
Defense analyst Jared Gray says Linton has reason to feel good about the Ole Miss team going into a big rival game this weekend.
This weekend is going to be a big weekend for us and for Ole Miss in general. We've done a lot of preparation for it, and we feel actually very confident.
Gray feels Lane is going to perform well and can just do it all.
Armani's a stud for us. He can play just about any position on the field, and I know that for a fact because he actually used to play DB also before he made transition over to running back. Athletic guy, can do it all, special teams, offense, defense, whatever it takes to help this team win.
I'm currently outside Vaught Hemingway Stadium, where Armani hopes to take his skills and practices from over the years to help lead the Ole Miss Rebels to a win over University of Alabama. For NewsWatch Ole Miss, I'm Alec Kazarandre.
We've got some Thursday night football tonight with the Ravens and the Bengals going head-to-head in Cincinnati. Both teams are coming in at 1-0, and as the Ravens steamrolled the Bills 47-3, and the Bengals squeezed past the Colts 31-27. Joe Flacco is hoping to avenge last season's Week 17 loss to the Bengals that kept the Ravens out of the playoffs. As for Andy Dalton and the Bengals, they're hoping to iron out some kinks on both sides of the ball, seeing as they barely beat a garbage Colts team. Andy Dalton is going to have a tough night as the Baltimore defense is rolling after holding the Bills to 153 total yards and racked up 6 sacks on Sunday. I think Joe Flacco and the Purple Birds will be leaving Cincinnati a cool 2-0. Last night, the Humboldt Broncos returned to the ice for the first time since losing 10 players and 6 others in a bus crash in April. The Saskatchewan hockey team was on their way to take on the Nipawin Hawks when their bus collided with a tractor trailer. Braden Camrud and Derek Pater are the only survivors that are back on the ice, and they have become leaders for all of the new players. The team played the Nipawin Hawks last night and honored the players and staff lost before the game. Even though the Broncos lost, the game was a healing experience for the team and the entire Saskatchewan community. Well, that's all for me, but be sure to follow us on Twitter at NewsWatch_UM for more sports updates. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jason. Up next, see which Mexican restaurant was voted the best in America.
Yes, this national favorite is sure to ring a bell.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
They gave me Vicodin after my knee surgery. They kept prescribing it, so I kept taking it. I didn't know it would be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
Taco Bell is the best Mexican restaurant brand in the U.S. according to a new poll. The distinction comes from the Harris Poll's 30th annual Equitrend study. It doesn't mean it's the best Mexican restaurant in America, just that it's a favorite based on familiarity, quality, and purchase consideration.
Moe's held the title last year, and Chipotle had it the year before that. The poll surveyed more than 70,000 U.S. consumers and asked them about more than 3,000 brands across more than 300 categories. Winners in other brand categories include Chick-fil-A, Krispy Kreme, Five Guys, and Blaze Pizza.
That really makes me want to go to Taco Bell. I haven't been there in so long.
Oh, it's so good.
So can you tell us about the weather this week again? Just kind of remind us.
Oh, sure, absolutely. It's going to be a hot one. We're going to get to about 90 degrees and high humidity. So your Taco Tuesday will really make you feel like you're in Mexico.
Well, there you go. Thank you. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Sarah Kate Calaguire.
Be sure to join us here again tomorrow night at 5 and on NewsWatchOleMiss.com. I'm Avery Sadler. Thank you and good night.